This is CBC Here and Now.
Tonight on Here and Now, 7 people are now feared dead in this week's plane crash in Labrador's interior. The search and rescue mission has turned into a recovery mission. That's just ahead. And a whale in danger.
Getting on dollar, bud. We didn't want to stress them out, so we backed off, and then the fog rolled in. It was gone.
An attempt to rescue a whale caught in fishing gear off the coast of St. John's thwarted by thick fog. Now rescuers are wondering where the whale will turn up next. Good evening, I'm Carolyn Stokes. The RCMP says 2 of the 7 people aboard a float plane that crashed in northern Labrador on Monday are from this province. 3 people have been confirmed dead and 4 remain missing. Here Now's Jacob Barker is following this story. So Jacob, what have we learned today?
Well, Carolyn, we do know that 2 of the people on board that plane were from this province, but their identities have not been released. The pilot has been named. He's 61-year-old Gilles Morin of Quebec, and the 4 other people on board were Americans. It began as a search by the Joint Rescue Coordination Center, but has now turned into a recovery operation.
The RCMP underwater recovery team is on the ground in Labrador right now and are preparing to gear up all their personnel and their resources and their gear to get into this remote site to search.
The owner of Air Saguenay believes the 4 people still missing will be found once the plane is brought up.
The missing person, we expecting they are in the fuselage of the plane under the water. So unfortunately, the chance to find the survivor are very low.
The plane was on its way from Three Rivers Lodge near the northern border of Quebec to a remote region in Labrador. When the plane was late and calls went unanswered Monday evening, a search began. Searchers found the single-engine aircraft early yesterday, submerged in water about 2 kilometers offshore. Air Saguenay has seen 2 deadly crashes involving de Havilland beavers. One in 2010 killed 4 people, and another in 2015 killed 7, but Tremblay says the plane was reliable.
It's a safe plane because the Beaver operates since 50s and still in operation, and it's still a good aircraft. In the 2 accidents, the TSB report, we can say that it was human error. The fact that they have an accident, it's not the Beaver himself.
Transport Canada recommends that float plane operators make personal flotation devices mandatory and that planes have pop-out windows to make it easier to get out. Tremblay says the passengers weren't wearing flotation devices and that the plane didn't have pop-out windows.
There was no modification for the window, and no, we don't have any modification on that Beaver.
Well, without knowing the cause of this accident, it's hard to say if either of those measures would have helped in this case. The Transportation Safety Board says it will travel to the location of the crash to conduct its investigation once the plane is out of the water. Reporting live for Here and Now in Happy Valley Goose Bay, I'm Jacob Barker.
Well, a big development for Signal Hill tonight. A day after going up, the controversial fence along part of Signal Hill is coming down. After plenty of public outrage, Parks Canada reversed its decision to keep the fence. Here Now's Meg Roberts reports.
Hikers Christine Cull and Susan Hart climbed Signal Hill for a coffee and the view. But what they saw felt a little nearsighted. An 8-foot fence stands beside the Interpretation Center, blocking the scenic view. And as many have noticed, it also blocks people from seeing the Signal Hill tattoo, a military reenactment, for free.
We think it should go. It's blocking the most beautiful view in the city. I know you can climb higher. We did. We're hikers, but not everyone's a hiker.
We both hope that it's taken down. Yes, it's taken down. Should be taken down.
First the harbourfront, now the hill.
But there's a price tag on both putting up the cedar fence and taking it down.
So how much money would it have cost to put up this fence? I asked the experts. Hickey's Timber Mart says they charge a minimum of $200 a foot, and that is for the labor and materials. So this fence here is about 170 feet long, or 52 meters. That totals for about $34,000.
Do you think that's worth it?
No, of course not. Nice wood, though.
Even the politicians are calling it an eyesore. Parks Canada cited safety as the reason for putting up the fence to prevent close call accidents as traffic slows to see the view. But MP Nick Whalen says even the federal environment minister is not a fan.
You look at the fence and you're just, some fence. Like, I'm not even sure what you say about it. It just doesn't keep with any of the character here, and it's entirely unnecessary.
Whalen also criticized Parks Canada for the lack of public consultation. Although a little too late, he says the message was received loud and clear. Meg Roberts, CBC News, St. John's.
So in a government statement that came out just a few minutes ago, Parks Canada says the cedar fence will come down this weekend. It'll be replaced with a temporary structure during performances of the Signal Hill Tattoo. Parks Canada says its attempt to make the area more secure during the busy performances, quote, clearly missed the mark. Well, Jeremy Eaton is on the move again today, this time in Conception Bay South. So, Jeremy, what's happening out that way tonight?
Well, we're just standing here near Long Pond in CBS, and it's a beautiful, just like last night, another beautiful evening. Now, there are a lot of members of the Canadian Armed Forces are in town, and they're doing some diving, which ties in Bell Island, the Second World War, and some German U-boats. So we're going to tell you all about that coming up later.
Thanks, Jeremy. Well, the Hibernia Management and Development Company says it's monitoring an oil sheen spotted this morning. The company says it's a mixture of oil and water which leaked from a storage cell. The sheen is estimated to be about 900 meters by 20 meters. Crews are using equipment to soak up as much oil as possible and mechanically dispersing the rest. The cause of the leak is not yet known. Well, a whale rescue team had no luck coming to the aid of a distressed whale this morning in St. John's. The call came in about a humpback towing fishing gear near the Narrows, but responders couldn't find it. Here now, Cease Hare reports.
Something in the water didn't look right, not to the crew of the Cape Chelsea, which was returning to St. John's with a load of crab. They investigated. Brian Taylor shot this video.
Noticed a balloon floating around in the middle of the harbour there. So we seen this big old bulge on the water. We're like, I mean, what's going on there, right? So we steamed up to it, and this was a whale. With a whale with a rope wrapped around his fins, around his back fin, right?
It's blue.
Yeah, it's a blue rope.
How big was it, the whale?
Oh, he's 25, 30 feet long, for sure. He's huge.
Taylor says they called the Coast Guard and followed the whale toward Cape Spear until they lost sight of it.
We didn't want to stress him out, so we backed off, and then the fog rolled in. It was gone, right? We lost him, right? We just stayed away from him. We didn't want to stress him out too much, eh? Yeah. But yeah, it was a pretty interesting morning, that's for sure.
The nonprofit rescue group, Whale Release and Strandings, got the call. Wayne Ledwell says they searched for hours with the Coast Guard and the fishing boat and found everything except the whale.
There was a bunch of fin whales out there, cow and calf fin whales. There was cow and calf humpbacks. There was other humpbacks. There was loads of birds. There was white-beaked dolphins following us around and jumping out of the water. And it was a beautiful, calm day. So it's just, it's kind of special to be out there anyway.
Ledwell says it's anyone's guess what type of gear it was. And he says losing sight of a whale is easy if it isn't caught up in an anchor.
It's very common, especially the ones that are towing gear, because the ocean is big and they can go anywhere. And usually, sometimes we're lucky enough to catch up with them.
Ledwell says there are two things you should never do if you see a whale that's in trouble. Don't try to untangle any ropes, and whatever you do, never get in the water with the whale. Cease Hare, CBC News, the Narrows.
And there are more whales struggling to survive. A rescue team has partially freed 2 North Atlantic right whales. 3 of the endangered whales are currently entangled in fishing gear in the Gulf of St. Lawrence. These images show yesterday's rescue efforts to free a tagged whale that scientists identified as a 5-year-old male. It is the second attempt to free the whale since last week. DFO says crews were once again able to cut some of the gear, but the animal has not been completely freed. A second whale was spotted around 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon. The rescue team was able to cut a rope from the whale's mouth to its tail, but it still wasn't enough to remove the gear. Efforts to locate and free all 3 entangled whales continued today and will resume when weather permits. Now to a much more positive whale story. O'Brien's Boat Tours posted this video on Facebook yesterday. Just have a look at that. The company says passenger Barb Fredrickson shared the footage, which was taken during a tour of Witless Bay. Some beautiful shots of whales breaching. Just fantastic. Thanks for sending that in. Well, you might want to put your fork down for this next one. In Alberta, health officials are encouraging people at risk for syphilis to get tested. The move follows an outbreak of the bacterial infection. Health officials say syphilis rates have dramatically increased in that province over the past 5 years and are now at their highest level since 1948. More than 1,500 cases of syphilis were reported last year compared to 161 in 2014. That's almost 10 times higher. Edmonton and areas north of the city recorded the biggest year-to-year increases. Cases there are up more than 300%. And here at home, health officials did warn the public about rising syphilis rates earlier this year, but rates here are not as high as what they're seeing in Alberta. Eastern Health says syphilis infection rates remain high in 2018, with a total of 33 cases in the eastern region. The health authority said it's seen the infection in both men and women, ranging from teenagers to seniors. Well, there was no escaping a mandatory life sentence without parole for Joaquin El Chapo Guzman in a Brooklyn courtroom today. But the prosecution and defense don't see eye to eye on how the case against the notorious Mexican drug kingpin unfolded.
The long road that led Chapo Guzman from the mountains of Sinaloa to the courthouse behind us today was paved with death, drugs, and destruction. But it ended today with justice.
He said to me from day one, I just want a fair trial. You tell me that I can get justice here, it was not justice.
For 25 years in Mexico, Guzman and his drug trafficking empire were protected by gangsters and an elaborate corruption operation. He was sentenced in Mexico and twice escaped prison there before being brought to the U.S. to stand trial. That history fueled his image as a slippery and ruthless criminal who could bribe, tunnel, or even kill his way out of trouble. Guzman was convicted in the U.S. in February. In addition to his prison sentence, he's been ordered to forfeit the more than $12 billion his cartel took from distributing drugs in the United States. His lawyers maintain Guzman was framed by other traffickers. They plan to appeal.
I'm Ryan Snodden in for Ashley tonight, and we're tracking some wet weather across the province through the overnight. The good news, we are clearing with some sunshine breaking in for most on Thursday, holding into Friday. Your full forecast is coming up.
Oh my God, it's Tiffin, get a video. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Holy crap.
Yes, a pretty spectacular sight caught on video yesterday. This iceberg in Notre Dame Bay began to tip over, and then the left side broke apart, falling into the ocean. It's great that they caught that on camera. Everyone seems pretty excited in that boat.
Yeah.
Just gorgeous. Welcome back to Here and Now. Time now to find out the weather forecast, but Ashley is not with us tonight, so an old friend is stopping by. Ryan Snodden, good to see you. How are you?
Great to see you. I'm great. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How's Halifax?
It's been a little warm. I don't want to rub it in, but it's been a little warm. And I know you folks, and of course doing Atlantic tonight, have been waiting for the summer to break through.
It's taking forever.
Right? It was better today?
It was better today.
Yeah, and you know what? We do have some rain tonight and into tomorrow, Stokesy, but as we move throughout the day, really becoming summer-like once again as we roll into the afternoon hours tomorrow, and a pretty nice one shaping up for Friday, and yeah, some summer-like temps even for the weekend. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Highs today, yeah, no complaints here for most of the province. 27 in Happy Valley Goose Bay. It did get to 20 in Nain today for the very first time this season. 20 in St. John's for the first time in over a week. Thank you very much. It took Ashley going off on vacation, of course, for that to happen once again, so you can thank her for that. There's our cold front that's rolling through as we speak, and that's going to be bringing, yes, not only some rain, but some cooler temps in behind, certainly for Labrador. We will recover on the other side of that front, though, for Newfoundland. Not a huge cool down for tomorrow, which is some good news there. Let's time it out with your hour by hour. There's the rain tracking through Labrador tonight. Few thunderstorms not out of the question. By late evening, starting to approach the west coast and the southwest coast with some heavy downpours here, no question about that. Maybe even some rumbles of thunder with this line that's going to be tracking up into eastern parts of Newfoundland by Thursday morning. St. John's looks like it's going to be a pretty wet start across the Avalon Peninsula and Clarenville, Bonavista, and the Burin Peninsulas in particular. Mild start, though, and we will see things starting to clear early morning along parts of the west coast into Happy Valley Goose Bay and Cartwright. We'll see, some breaks, but a chance of some showers lingering for most of the day. Happy Valley Goose Bay out towards the Cartwright region. Note the clear out as we move, certainly by lunchtime for St. John's. Looks like the rain will be done. We're talking about some sunshine into the afternoon. Chance of some pop-up showers again along the northern peninsula tomorrow afternoon, and just kind of staying unsettled here through southeastern parts of Labrador. Lab City, though, looking pretty good, as you'll see here in just a moment. I think we'll top out 18, 19 degrees. Could certainly see some 20-degree temps for inland parts of the Avalon tomorrow. Winds are going to go from southwest to northwest, and we'll see temps, generally speaking, in the 18 to 20-degree range for most of the east tomorrow, with those showers clearing and then some sunshine. Pretty nice day from start to finish. A little bit cooler in those onshore winds from the west, and so places like Port aux Basques, Stephenville, Corner Brook, Gros Morne, likely only topping out in the 17 to 18 degree range, but work your way inland. I think we will crack 20 in the Humber Valley, Bay Vert, and certainly into the Grand Falls, Windsor region. That'll likely be one of our hot spots tomorrow, 21 to 22 degrees. Now for tomorrow, along the coast of Labrador, those northerly winds, that's going to keep temperatures quite cool. Single-digit highs for places like Makkovik, back to 11 degrees in Nain. As I said, quite unsettled from start to finish in Happy Valley Goose Bay. Late day, maybe some evening showers for Mary's Harbour and the Straits, but it does look dry for most of the day. Churchill Falls, a chance of showers, but Labrador City, one of the nicest spots tomorrow at 20 degrees. As I said, Stokesy looks like we'll hold that nice weather into Friday, which looks pretty good. And the weekend, some showers, but some sunshine too. We'll talk about that coming up.
Thanks, Ryan. We'll talk to you in a bit.
Sounds good.
What's a story that goes back more than 75 years? During the Second World War, Belle Island played such a big role in the war that it caught the attention of German U-boats. And those ships left something behind. Jeremy is joining us now live near the HMCS Shawinigan. Jeremy, what kind of relics are still sitting at the bottom of the ocean?
Sorry, I'm laughing because we said the boat was here, but there's obviously no boat here.
No
and
boat.
That's because
what happened to Shawinigan?
No boat. It's back there behind on the other side of Belle Island, and the Canadian Armed Forces, their dive teams are still working to try to clear, get some of the stuff off the bottom. So that's why there's no boat. But we do have a beautiful, beautiful shot of CBS. There are a lot of boats there, sailboats, but they're not the ones we're talking about. But what we are talking about is what's underneath the water. And I don't know a lot about it, but Petty Officer Steve Giffen, he does know a lot about it. Thank you for taking the time to join us, Steve.
Thank you very much for having me.
So what are you and your crews doing here in CBS?
So right now there's 4 wrecks from World War II that were sunk by a German U-boat, and we're looking for approximately 50 rounds that are on each of the ships.
50 rounds. And so how hard is it, or how far down do you guys have to go, do your teams have to go down to try to find some of those?
So each wreck's at a different depth, but it varies from 30 meters to 45 meters, so that's fairly deep water.
How long, I gotta know, I'm not a diver, I can swim a little bit, but I can't dive down. How long does it take somebody to get down that far?
For the 45 meters, it'll take close to 3 minutes with our descent rates.
So have you done that yet?
I did it 20 years ago. It was a lot of fun. I wish I was doing it now, but I'm with you right now.
So when you go down there, how hard is it to pick something up off that and then to get it on the land, and then what do you do with it? Walk us through that process, Steve.
It's actually a very interesting process. We've been trained for it. We do a lot of training all around the world. It starts with actually identifying what is dangerous down there. Is it a projectile or is it just a piece of metal? Once we do identify that it's a projectile, we move it into a net. Once we have enough, we'll lift it to the surface and put them on HMCS Schwenningen. HMCS Schwenningen will then come to the port here in Long Pond and transfer it to our EOD team. The EOD team then takes it to a safe location for disposal.
And when you say, what does EOD mean and what does disposal mean?
That's a very good question. EOD is explosive ordnance disposal, and when I say dispose of it, we'll destroy it to make sure that it no longer poses a risk to anybody around.
Now, is that done locally here, or do you have to send it off somewhere?
We send it approximately 40 minutes away to a safe location where we'll be able to dispose of it without affecting anybody or injuring anybody.
Now, Steve and I were talking as we were waiting to do this interview, and you've done this around the world. You're talking about doing it in the Baltic Sea, and you said you've been down there 20 years ago here. How cool is it, or can you just sort of walk us through what it looks like when you're making the dive down and you're looking on like a shipwreck like you would see here behind Bell Island?
For me personally, it's the history. When I go down on these wrecks, I realize that people were on board and unfortunately lost their lives, and it's humbling to see what damage has been done and that it's history, and it just brings you back to reality, where we all came, what's happened in the past and where we're at right now.
And how well maintained are these wrecks? Like, does it still look like a ship? Is it covered up? What sort of things are you seeing when you're down there, face eyes into it?
There's a couple wrecks that are still in really good shape. There's a couple that were damaged really bad by the torpedo, but it's actually surprising. Canada has really cold water, and the ships are actually maintaining their integrity quite well.
Well, I appreciate it. Sadly, there is no boat for us to look at, and there are no ordinances for us to play with, which is stupid because we wouldn't play with them anyways. I appreciate you taking the time for joining us. Thank you, Petty Officer Steve Giffen, and that's it for me right now. Now, we got a tough job here because the sun's out, the water's out, lots of boats. So we're going to head over to the other side of the marina later, and we're going to talk to Rick Stanley from Ocean Quest Adventures, who helped, I guess, start this about 20 years ago when he found an old German torpedo. So reporting live for Here Now, I'm Jeremy Eaton in Conception Bay South.
Summer has definitely arrived here in Gander with highs of 26 degrees. I looked for some tips on how to beat the heat. That's coming up on Here Now.
Welcome back. Well, it seems that summer weather has arrived in Gander at last. Temperatures reached 26 degrees in the town, and that sent families outside looking for ways to beat the heat. Here and Now's Garrett Berry is live for us tonight in sunny Gander. So, Garrett, how did you enjoy the warm weather?
Well, you can certainly count me among those people who are looking to beat the heat. Environment Canada said the humidex rating got to about 30, almost 30 today, and yeah, that's when I start to melt. But a lot of people around here have said this is the first real summery day that Gander had, and I certainly didn't want to ruin that energy, so instead of complaining, I went and took some tips of what to do on a nice summer day here in Gander.
Well, it's a really hot day out today, and I just wanted to go have fun in the water. We're in the water sprinkler. It's my first time here this summer, but last summer and everything I've been here before.
It's awesome. We don't get a lot of days like this, so when we get them, you got to get out and take advantage. I don't know if I'll get wet, but it's fun to see him having fun. So.
This is definitely one of our nicer days. We've had to cancel a lot of practices actually due to the rain. You kind of want to hold it on the threads like that. So then your 3 fingers are along the threads and your thumb along this one.
And why do we want to do that?
Then you just get a better grip on the ball, especially when it's wet. It's easier to throw.
And that's been a factor this year, you're telling me?
Yes, definitely.
Ain't afraid to take chances and wait.
I suppose it's pretty cool having a sister to sing and stuff, and everyone asks questions about it all the time.
So, and growing up, did you ever get sick of hearing her practice or what?
A little bit, yeah. When I'm in trying to play games and stuff, and she'll make me turn it down so she can hear her guitar better.
We were pretty slow before you came, but now I think as people are coming in for the concert in the park here now, we're getting more and more sales. We always get great sales for slush puppy, especially when it's hot out. So we decided we wanted to do a little something extra to boost our revenue. So we've opened up this canteen. This is I think the 3rd year running now. And so we have clients that work here at the canteen as well. And they love it down here because they get to talk to people, and they really like that.
So those were just some of the sights and sounds of a beautiful summer day here in Gander. And don't be in fear, or don't be afraid if you haven't gotten out yet. Even right now as we speak, it's still a nice 25 degrees here in Cobb's Pond Park. And according to Environment Canada, there's about 2 more nice days on the horizon just as soon as we get through some showers tomorrow morning. Reporting live for Here and Now in Gander, I'm Garrett Berry.
Well, there are fewer than 100 days until the federal election, and the candidate list in this province is already growing. Here Now's Katie Breen has compiled the names, and you also spoke with retired political scientist Stephen Tomlin. So what's his take on all of this so far?
Well, he's expecting American politics to bleed into all of this. He thinks the Trump effect could take hold here during the federal election. Down in the States, he says the president plays to his base. Here, Tomlin expects leaders to play to provinces, and he says the tone could get pretty negative as parties try to mobilize support.
I think in both Canada and the United States, we're seeing a lot of anger, but we're also seeing a lot of this being stoked by the parties themselves. They're feeding that anger. They're appealing to Alberta. They're appealing to British Columbia. Parties will be probably picking and choosing. I mean, the Conservatives will know if they don't have an opportunity to mobilize many votes because of the electoral system in certain regions, they may attack them. They may mobilize, and play for their base and play for their audience. And that's not good for national unity, and that's not good for public policy.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if we get some extreme views coming through in this election for sure. How is the candidate list shaping up in this province?
Well, we've got the 7 federal ridings, all occupied by Liberals, and all of them have at least 1 confirmed candidate. All the incumbents are running again, so each district has a Liberal option. In Avalon, Greg Malone of Codco fame is running for the Green Party. Right now, the Greens have the second most confirmed candidates at 4. There's a Green candidate in Bonavista Buren Trinity, as well as a Conservative and a Liberal. In Coast of Bays, Central Notre Dame, Scott Sims is officially running again. Earlier this year, he was the only incumbent not confirmed by the Liberals. He wanted to run, but didn't have enough money fundraised. Labrador is the only riding with just one confirmed candidate so far. Other parties have opened nominations or plan to do so soon. In Long Range Mountains on the west coast, that district has 2 candidates. So far, you might have noticed no NDP. That's because there's only one New Democratic candidate confirmed so far. Jack Harris is running for the NDP in St. John's East. He's hoping to win his seat back from Liberal Nick Whalen. Nominations close for the Conservatives here in 5 days. That nomination race is between former Noya CEO Bob Cadigan and Jody Wall, the mayor of Pooch Cove. Then finally, St. John's South Mount Pearl. Indigenous Services Minister Seamus O'Regan is looking to keep his seat there.
Okay, so for anyone who wasn't counting it up on the fingers there, how many candidates is that?
That's 15 candidates so far. All 4 major parties, if all 4 parties rather, ran a candidate in every race, there'd be 28 in total. I asked Tomlin for his thoughts on the lead up to Election Day so far.
For the most part, we're not seeing much engagement. Parties, for the most part, are thinking about brand. They're thinking about selling their personalities or their leaders, as they always have in the past. And that's, for the most part, all we're probably going to get.
So he's not very optimistic we'll see a deep debate on the issues facing the nation, but there's still time. We've got 96 days until the election. Voting day is October 21st.
All right, Katie Breen, thank you so much for breaking it all down for us.
No trouble.
Those who are showcasing their gardens have put so much work and effort into it. Who doesn't want to show off their beauty?
The Mystery Garden Tour takes place this weekend. Rain or shine, all will be revealed when these private gardens in St. John's and Mount Pearl go on display. Details after the break. Welcome back to Here and Now. Well, there is nothing better on a beautiful sunny day than being out in the garden. And this particular garden in the Goulds is part of a very special event that's happening this weekend. And joining me now to talk more about that is Kim Shipp with Munn Botanical Gardens. So Kim, can you tell me a bit about this mystery tour happening this weekend?
Certainly. This weekend we have 10 gardens across the Avalon. that are participating, where visitors can poke around people's backyards, get ideas, and enjoy a weekend outside in beautiful gardens.
How does that work?
So you get your mystery garden passport, you pick one of those up, and inside the 10 properties are revealed with a brief description and a map, of course. So you can drive around and meet and greet some of the homeowners and our volunteers.
So Jamie, why did you want to take part in this mystery garden tour, to let people walk through your garden?
Interesting question. Well, for a couple of reasons. One being that you can walk through the garden with all these other people that are gardeners and have mini conversations. And the other was to put a little bit of pressure on myself to get the garden done so I can enjoy the rest of the summer.
How much work goes into this garden?
It's a little bit. Right now we're still constructing, so it could be up to 40 hours, but normally probably 15, 20 hours a week.
Wow, that's a lot of time. You must really love it.
Absolutely. I find it very therapeutic.
So the people who take part in this tour, what is it they get out of it? Why do they want to go around and poke through other people's backyards?
Well, I think for those who want to poke around, they want to get some ideas for their own gardens. And of course, those who are showcasing their gardens have put so much work and effort into it. Who doesn't want to show off their beauty?
How many different plants do you have here, would you guess?
Oh, that's a great question. Maybe about 1,200 different varieties of things.
What kinds of things do you think people can learn when they go on this tour?
We always have such an eclectic group of gardens. It's always amazing to see some really big, wide-spanning gardens and some small, tight ones in urban settings. And it's kind of amazing what people actually can grow. And even when our horticulturists go around, they're, I didn't know you could do that, and get some clippings and the like.
And how many people do you think will walk through your garden this weekend?
I'm guessing probably somewhere around 350 maybe.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
And you don't mind them just trouncing around and looking at everything?
I love it.
So what has the growing season been like this year?
Well, it certainly got off to a late start. We were almost embarrassed to open our doors at the Botanical Garden on May 1st, but we did, and it was slow going. But now everything is springing to life. The rhododendrons are out in full bloom. It's gorgeous, gorgeous. And so we've kind of caught up.
I love rhododendron season.
I know. And if you, as you're out and about doing the Mystery Garden Tour, you can pop by the garden too, because the rhododendrons, and we have over 250, are spectacular right now.
What kind of inspiration do you think people will be able to get when they're looking around people's gardens?
I think people sort of love the little pockets of outdoor rooms that are in people's gardens, and they can look at some of the plant material and talk with the homeowners. I know visitors always really enjoy talking to the homeowners, and they can get inspiration by their passion and get some tips on where they've got their plants and how they manage to propagate, and where plants have been happy in the gardens and where they haven't been, and how they've moved things around.
So other people get to enjoy the fruits of other people's labor.
That's correct.
Thank you so much, Kim. Really appreciate it.
Thanks.
There's 10 divers here from all over the world.
So we're at the Sunset Key Marina in a beautiful night here in Conception Bay South. Now, earlier we heard from the Canadian Armed Forces and Petty Officer Steve Giffen talking about the role that they are taking, trying to remove these ordinances from the bottom of the ocean. But there's a local connection to this, other than the fact that they're in the waters off of Bell Island, and that's this man right here, Rick Stanley from Ocean Quest Adventures. Rick, can you tell me, what did you find in the year 2000?
Oh, we were out there, of course, just we've sent lots of ammunition and so on and so forth, but I had a friend here from Germany. His name was Ingo Vollmer, and we were out diving around, and we went looking in the debris field of the Rose Castle at about 160 feet deep, and we came across a torpedo, and we couldn't believe it. Especially that it was found by my buddy Ingo from Germany. You know, I said, okay, what's this now? Is he some kind of spy or something?
So what do you do when you find a torpedo? Like, who do you call? What do you do?
Well, of course, we notified the Provincial Archaeology Office and let them know what we found. And, you know, we said that it would be, there was a locking ring. There was no warhead on it. And there was a locking ring just lying right in front of it. And I said, what a cool thing to have in the Bell Island Museum. So I contacted the Provincial Archaeology Office. And of course, some of the news got a hold of it, and next thing you know, the Fleet Diving Unit is on the way to blow up a torpedo. And I said, oh, geez, don't blow up nothing. It's too close to the shipwreck, and you'll damage the shipwreck. So basically they showed them some video and so on, and they seen that there was no warhead there. So, but the body of the torpedo, the propeller, you could see the banks of batteries in the torpedo and everything. It was amazing, and there was a wolffish there too for a bonus. So.
Fast forward 19 years, you've been involved in this project, this recovery effort. What has Ocean Quest Adventures' role been, and what has your role been in all this, Rick?
Well, 2000, of course, you know, that was the first bit. But then last year they contacted me and said, Rick, you know, we know you're probably one who dove these wrecks more than anybody, and would you like to help us out to, you know, locate the and pinpoint, so we could, if we come for a recovery of these ordnance and the ammunitions and the UXOs and whatever else is out there, would you help us and show us where they're all to and pinpoint it? And I said, yeah, I'd be more than happy. So basically we went out, and they never had a diver. They wouldn't put a diver in the water at the time. They used ROVs, so I knew the wreck like the back of my hand. So they were flying around their ROVs and said, go left, go right, go down, port, starboard. Here they are in the stern, here they are inside, and they were successful in pinpointing them all, and here they are back here now. So I feel like it's a great partnership with the government of Canada.
Now, we're running out a little bit of time, Rick, but quickly I wanted to ask you, you have plans. You want to do something with this site. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, we feel that we want this site safe for divers, and we've been working, I guess, over the years to have these shipwrecks designated as a National Historic Site. So right now with the Shipwreck Preservation Society, I'm one of the board directors and also one of the founding members of that. We've decided we were working on a virtual museum project. So everything we're doing with this virtual museum project is basically an application for the federal nomination process for that designation of a National Historic Site, in hopes that these wrecks are going to be an underwater museum, safe for everybody and everybody. That the government of Canada would say, "Yep, stamp of approval. Come on, go diving with Ocean Quest."
Well, appreciate your time. Thanks for this, Rick, man. That's pretty cool. I hope you get your designation.
Yeah.
And we're going to take in some more sunshine here with Rick, and we're going to throw it back to you, Carolyn, in the studio.
Right on. Hi, Mom.
Thanks so much, Jeremy. That is a very interesting idea, an underwater museum. as you saw earlier, Ashley is off tonight, but we have Ryan Snodden standing by in Halifax.
Hi again. Yeah, thanks so much, Stokesy. We've got the long-range forecast now, and we are, again, talking about the rain tonight, and then the clear out as we roll throughout the day on Thursday. It's going to be a wet start, though. Central and eastern parts of Newfoundland, particularly on the Avalon, those rains will be coming down. Looks like at a pretty good clip early in the day, and then we're clearing into the afternoon with that sunshine breaking through. And yeah, not a bad afternoon. 18 to 20 degrees. Nice day on the west coast. Onshore winds, though, keeping temps into the high teens. Pretty unsettled tomorrow. Happy Valley, Goose Bay up towards Nain. Cartwright looks like southeastern parts of Labrador down to the Straits. We'll see a nice window tomorrow where the sunshine will be around for a good portion of the day, and then those showers move back in from west to east as we roll throughout the afternoon and into the evening. Labrador City, one of the nicest spots tomorrow, near 20 degrees. So first things first, this is our cold front that's bringing the wet weather now into Happy Valley, Goose Bay, and increasing cloud cover across the island of the rain still here across the Maritimes, and it is now going to be rolling in throughout the overnight. Let's time that out for you. You can see rolls in from southwest to northeast. There's Thursday morning, that wet start, but a nice day from start to finish along the west coast. There are those showers that will move back into the northern peninsula and remain for most of the day in southeastern Labrador. Area of high pressure and that nice day for Lab City, and then that area of high pressure will be in firm control for Friday, thankfully, keeping this low, which is spinning just north of Newfoundland, east of Labrador. It'll be close enough to bring a few showers to Cartwright in southeastern parts of Labrador once again, and a bit of an onshore influence along the coast of Labrador. But a nice day for Newfoundland, and then our next system starting to approach, and we'll push in to Labrador City as we move into the later parts of Friday. Overall, though, pretty good forecast for the island. A little cool for the coast of Labrador, no question. Happy Valley, Goose Bay near 21 tomorrow, and Friday rather, and for Labrador City there, a little bit of sun early, and then that increasing cloud cover and that rain moving in for the afternoon and evening hours. So the weekend, the all-important weekend, well, it's all about timing, and the forecast model is still not 100% on the exact timing of this system, but it does look like this system will approach through the day on Saturday. Certainly some showers into the afternoon for the west coast, edging into central parts of Newfoundland, mid to late afternoon. I think the Avalon actually stays dry until the supper time and into the evening hours based on the latest timing, but some forecast models are bringing that shower activity in a little bit earlier, so keeping an eye on that. Increasing clouds, no doubt, on Saturday. Hopefully that rain holding off until the evening. Lingering showers for Sunday morning, then we're clearing into the afternoon with some sunshine. Now, for central parts of Newfoundland, nice day Friday, increasing clouds. Yeah, probably maybe should have put that rain icon on there for Saturday, late day for you folks as well. Certainly evening showers into the overnight, and looking at that clear out for Sunday with temperatures near 20. Western Newfoundland, certainly some showers for Saturday afternoon looking likely now, and looking at that clear out for Sunday. So overall, not a bad weekend there. A little unsettled for Labrador through the weekend with some scattered showers both Saturday and Sunday, but some breaks of sun in there too. Temperatures in around the high teens near 20. And for western parts of Labrador, some showers for Friday, holding a little unsettled for Saturday and a bit cooler for Sunday, but a chance of some sunshine there as well. That is your forecast to now. Stokesy, back to you.
Thanks so much, Ryan. Well, let's head back to Conception Bay South now, where Jeremy is standing by live. So, Jeremy, what are you going to be up to tomorrow night?
Well, I'll tell you what I'm doing right now is working on my TAN, that's for sure. That's two sunny days in a row. Gets myself some vitamin D.
Sun's out, guns out.
Yeah, not many guns here, but there's lots of sun out here. Anyway, so, you know, the work's going to be going on all week here as the crews try to get all the ordnances off the bottom, and then they're going to go blow them up. And then tomorrow, so that's going to happen for the rest of the week. We're not going to be here, obviously. But tomorrow, I think Gary Locke, the videographer, and I are going to be taking in Rib Fest. It's the first annual Rib Fest to hit the city of St. John's. It's happening down in Pleasantville. It's put together by the Canadian Progress Club and Coleman's and a couple of other people. So there's a few teams have traveled from Ontario to come here to make delicious ribs. So I got my nice blue shirt on tonight, but I'll probably be wearing a bib tomorrow. So the plan is to try to eat ribs and try not to get too messy so I don't disappoint the people in my family.
Not too many vegetarians are going to be at that event tomorrow night, I don't suppose.
Well, you know what? You know what I'm going to do, Carolyn, tomorrow? I'm going to find out if there are any vegetarian or vegan options, because there has to be something.
And let us
It's
know.
a rib fest, but it has to be open to everyone. Yeah, anyways, I appreciate it. So you enjoy the time in the studio with our old friend Ryan Snodden, and I'm going to enjoy the sun out here in Conception Bay South.
Thanks so much, Jeremy. We'll see you tomorrow night.
See you.
Well, a group of retirees in New Brunswick has found a way to make troubles fly away. They craft comfort treasures that fit in the palm of your hand. CBC's Sarah Morin explains.
Bob Clowater chips and chisels away at his tiny wood carvings. Getting the wings and beak just right might seem like a tall task, but this he could do with his eyes closed. Clowater has been a hobby carpenter for nearly 2 decades, and in recent years he's turned to comfort birds. They're meant to soothe people in pain, suffering from loss or anxiety.
I read a story about one gentleman. His wife was very sick with cancer, and he gave her the comfort bird, and she had that in her hand all the time, and day in, day out. And when she died, he set it on top of his television, and he keeps it there year-round.
Clowater turned to wood carving in his retirement. Since then, he's made about 50 birds, and it's turned out to be a rewarding pastime.
Just give you a good, feeling that it's going to help somebody, and that's the big thing, though.
And Clowater isn't alone. He's one of about 16 retirees who meet on Monday nights to carve. Brian Dykeman has made more than 1,000 birds in the last 5 years. Dykeman says he can make up to 6 birds an hour. One day, he made 53.
You would think it would be a very monotonous type of thing to actually make, but you feel good about doing them because you know they're going to end up somewhere where people appreciate them.
Some of the birds are donated to the hospice, others are given away to family and friends, and the rest are sold at the farmers market in Fredericton. Sarah Morin, CBC News, Fredericton.
Welcome back to Here and Now. The Washington Monument has been transformed in honor of the historic moon landing 50 years ago. An image projected on the facade turned the towering structure into the 363-foot-tall rocket. The spacecraft with the Apollo 11 crew landed on the moon in 1969, where the American astronauts Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin became the first humans to set foot on the lunar surface. NASA is aiming to send humans back to the moon in 5 years. Apollo 11 celebrations continue until Saturday. And officials in Cyprus have come up with a novel way of getting rid of a tasty but invasive species, telling fishermen if you can't beat it, eat it.
They have no natural predators, so it's really important for the environment to remove these, but also for diver safety.
The flamboyant lionfish is taking over Cyprus waters, killing off other species, and biologists warn the quickly proliferating fish could cause lasting environmental damage. So to prevent that, Cyprus is encouraging people to add it to their diets. And it's a good thing. It apparently tastes a lot better than it looks. And that's it for us tonight. A beautiful evening across St. John's Harbor. We'll see you back here again tomorrow night.